All right, welcome to The Explainer. Every single day we're just bombarded with numbers, right? Averages, stats, flashy headlines. But what story are they actually telling? Today, we're going to build a data toolkit. This is so you can look past just one single number and really see the whole picture. So let's just start with a simple question. You see an average price for, I don't know, a vacation, a new car, maybe a house. What does that one number really tell you? I mean, sure, an average can be useful, but it can also hide the most interesting parts of the story. In fact, sometimes it can be downright deceptive. Okay, to see what I mean, let's look at how an average can really mislead us. We're going to start with the first tool in our kit. This is the one we all learned back in school, right? It's powerful for sure, but, and this is a big but, it has a crucial flaw we have to understand. So this first tool is the good old arithmetic mean. Now, a great way to think about it is like it's the balancing point of all your data. Imagine all your numbers are weights on a seesaw. Well, the mean is that one single point where the whole thing would balance perfectly. It is, by far, the most common type of average you'll run into. And you know what? Calculating it is super simple. So let's say we're using these prices for 4 new business tours. We just add them all up, right? That gives us a total of 5,450 reals. Then we just divide that sum by the number of tours. In this case, 4. And boom, that gives us our mean price, $1,362.50 reals. Seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it? A perfectly reasonable number sits kind of in the middle of our other prices. But this number has a secret weakness. Okay, so let's dig into this. Let's take a closer look at our first tool, the mean, and really expose that critical limitation I was talking about. Just think about it for a second. What if one of those tours, what if it was some super luxury experience priced at, say, 10,000 reals? That one single super high value, and by the way, statisticians call that an outlier, it would yank the mean way, way up. Suddenly you have a totally misleading idea of what a tour typically costs. See? The mean is just, it's too easily swayed by those extremes. It's not very tough. So we need a different tool, one that can find the center of our data and just ignore all that noise. So the big question is, how do we find the true middle? Well, this brings us to tool number 2 in our toolkit, and it's designed to solve this exact problem. So let me introduce you to the median. The median, honestly, it's a beautifully simple idea. All it is the value that sits smack dab in the physical middle of your data after you've sorted it. And that's the key right there. It completely ignores those extreme values. It literally doesn't care how much that luxury tour costs. It just cares that it's one item at the very end of the line. So, finding the median is a 2-step process. First, you take your jumbled up data, like for example these daily high temps from a week in Riyadh. As you can see, they're kind of all over the place right now. The first thing you do is sort them. Just line them up from lowest to highest. The one that lands right in the middle, in this case 36 degrees, that's your median. And boom, just like that, we have a central number that isn't going to get thrown off by a random heat wave or a sudden cold snap. It's much more stable. Okay, so now we've got tools to find the center. That's great. But sometimes the most interesting question has nothing to do with the center. Sometimes what we really want to know is, what's the most popular thing? Now that's a totally different kind of question, isn't it? It's about frequency, not about where the middle is. And to answer that, we need to pull out our third tool. And this tool is called the mode. All it does is find the value that shows up most often in your data. Here's a little trick to remember it. Mode is most. Seriously, it's the easiest way to spot a trend or figure out what the popular choice is. Okay, take a look at this data. This shows us which week of the year people signed up for tours. Now, as you just scan the numbers, one value probably starts to pop out at you, right? The number 14. It shows up 4 times, which is more than any other week. So yep, that makes 14 our mode. And this is where it gets really powerful. For a business, knowing that week 14 is the hotspot for signups, I mean, that's absolute gold. It tells them exactly when to ramp up their marketing or when to launch new tours to catch that wave of interest. All right, so our toolkit is looking pretty good. We've got tools for the center and a tool for what's most popular. But even with the mean, median, and mode, we're still missing a huge piece of the puzzle. And that is, how spread out is the data anyway? Just look at this puzzle. We've got two cities here, and they both have the exact same mean temperature, 24 degrees Celsius. Now, if you only looked at the mean, you'd think, hey, same climate. But look closer. In City A, the temperatures are just all over the map. But City B, it's incredibly consistent. You would need to pack a completely different suitcase for each trip, for sure. So to measure this spread, this variability, we need our final tool. And it's called standard deviation. It's basically a single number that answers one simple question. On average, how far is each data point from the mean? Really, just think of it as a measure of consistency. So for City A, with its wild temperature swings, the standard deviation is high. The temperatures deviate a whole lot from the average. There's tons of variability. But for City B, the standard deviation is low. The temperatures are all clustered nice and tight around that mean, which tells you it's a very consistent climate. So let's put it all together now. You've got it. You now have a complete 4-piece data toolkit, and you're ready to go out and understand the real story behind the numbers you see. So let's recap. You've got the mean to find that general central value. You've got the median for the true middle, the one that ignores those crazy extremes. You have the mode to find out what's most popular or frequent. And finally, standard deviation to see just how spread out or consistent the data is. See? Each tool answers a totally different question. And when you use them together, wow, you get a much, much richer picture than any single number could ever give you. And really, that's the key takeaway right there. The next time you see a headline or a report with a single average, you're not just going to take it at face value. You're now equipped to look deeper, to start asking questions like, okay, which average are they even talking about? What's the true middle here? What's the most common thing happening? And just how spread out is all this data? You're not just seeing a number anymore. You're ready to see the full story.